with chicks? They said you like had sex with a girl or whatever. You got sexual assault?
No, nothing like that. Thank God I haven't had that.
What I mean. Yeah, because everyone knows you're not getting laid, so that's fine. But when you're an actually high status male,
what the fuck? What you?
That happens.
Whatever, bro. Cool.
And so it can't be true.
Say again. Sorry.
I know
girls.
I know girls who have fucked Adin, so I don't think that's totally true.
What? How do you know this?
I know all about you, Adin.
Tell me all about Adin.
Bro, hey. What is this,
I know like 10 trans chicks that Adin fucked.
All right, see, now people are going to believe that shit. It's not true at all. Come on, bro. You know it's not true.
Adin?
Andrew, I swear to God, I've never fucked a trans girl before. All my life, and I never will.
Let me tell you all a story. When I was about 25, I was living in Thailand. And I must be the only man who lived in Thailand because I was fighting. So I lived there for 2 years. And I lived there, and I must be the only man who lived in Thailand. I've never paid for sex, never slept with a prostitute, none of the weird shit. So I'm living in Thailand, and I had this Russian girlfriend, and then she went back to Russia, and I was a bit lonely, and I thought, okay, I'm going to try and get myself a new girlfriend. And by coincidence, the same day, I met this beautiful Swedish girl, and she was backpacking. And I met her, and I went up to her and started saying hello, blah, blah, blah. We agreed to go for a drink that night. After talking to her, I was walking home, and as I was walking, this transsexual who must have been about 55, 56, had a couple teeth missing. Some man, clearly a man, I don't want to, misgender, clearly a man, but was a transsexual, was walking across the road from me, and he/she pointed at me and said, "Hey, I can tell by how you walk. You have a big dick."
What the fuck?
And I looked back at this transsexual and thought, well, I'll take the compliment. And I said, yes, that's true. Thank you very much. And I continued on my walk. That was the end of the story. Until 9 o'clock rolls around, I get on my motorcycle. I go down to this bar to meet this Swedish girl. I'm sitting there. I get drinks on the table. She turns up 20 minutes late. And I'm sitting there with the Swedish girl. And after an hour and a half of drinking and enjoying each other's company, I'd already kissed her twice. I was due to go back to her house because my house was a dump and she had more money than me. And we're going to go and stay at hers. When the transsexual walks in the bar, and in front of the entire bar, she walks in and points to me across the bar and goes, "Dick!" And the entire bar stops.
What did
and
she
looks
say?
Big dick. She said big dick.
And the entire bar stops and looks at her, the old transsexual with missing teeth, and then looks at me. And I tried to explain for the following 10 minutes to this Swedish girl that I've never slept with this person. I don't know why she says I have a big dick, and I've never been with her, and I don't know, and I just saw her on the street. And she didn't believe me. She went toilet and never returned. That's a story from my lonely night in Thailand. That's true, and it completely happened.
You never give a ladyboy a shot?
I've never given a ladyboy a shot, no. Am I missing out, Adam?
I haven't done it either, but I went out to Thailand when I was like 19, 20, and the ladyboys are out there. And some of them, even back then, this was like 20 years ago, they were doing a pretty impressive ruse. Like they looked like more of a woman than a lot of women that I know. So, shout out to them.
I've seen a ladyboy kick the fuck out of a dude. It was a really interesting sight. He was saying some shit to her, running his mouth, and she literally fought like a man and beat the shit out of him. And it was pretty interesting to see. Heels on and everything.
All right, can I just address the elephant in the room? Why is nobody talking? Yo, so Lena, you just finished. I heard the video's going crazy on Pornhub. You guys crashed it.
It's on my OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. So, Adam, if you don't, I'm sorry, Andrew. What happened was this. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you heard, Andrew. They did a video. Basically, Adam and them, they're married. They've been married for a while. They have a beautiful family. And basically one day, they decided to, basically Adam said, hey, hun, you can go ahead and get a BBC by this guy. So they had a big black cock insert her puss. And
It was not in the video.
And that's
True.
pretty much what happened. And thoughts, Andrew?
Well, I think I mentioned this on one of my previous podcasts. I said that I wouldn't personally do that.
Bro.
But it's not my personal preference. But I want to make something clear. I'm really careful about what I say to people. I don't want to insult anybody. That's not who I am as a person. If that's their personal decision to make, then they can make their own personal decisions and do as they please. I'm not here to sit and say they shouldn't do it. All I can say is that I wouldn't personally do that. That's not something I would allow my woman to do. but perhaps I'm missing something. Maybe you can tell me why I'm wrong. I'm not sure.
Would you guys let your wife do that?
The thing that the most important piece of context that is missing is the fact that we already had been doing porn for, I mean, maybe 5-6 years, or really since the very beginning of our relationship. And, you know, she is 32. She is a mother. Realistically, she's not going to be doing this forever. But we decided that it made a lot of sense for her to, you know, seize upon the moment, the fact that she's still got her youth about her, and slurp up a black cock for the fucking paper, man.
He liked it. He liked watching the video.
Yeah, I was kind of turned on by it. I'm not gonna lie.
So my question would be, sorry, one more time. Lena, right? Correct? Lena?
Lena, yes.
Lena, do you think that you have an emotional attachment to this man now, or like you literally wouldn't care what happened to him? Let's say, heaven forbid, something, I don't know, he got locked up and went to jail or something. Like, would you care, or would you literally have zero interest in him as an individual?
Feel for him as I would feel for like almost anyone I'd ever met who went to jail. But like, no offense, Jason, I see you as like a male sex doll. Like you were just
no emotional attachment to him whatsoever.
No, this is where I have my emotional attachment.
Okay, well then, if you're capable of keeping that divide, then I'm not here to insult you. And the reason I don't insult people, I also want to make this very clear, is because
nerfed. I'm kidding.
Maybe it's just the life I've lived, but I think the internet has fucked the world up. And I think one of the ways it's messed the world up is that everybody's constantly running their mouths. And the world I'm from and the life I've lived, if you insult somebody, it's you have to be prepared to defend that opinion. And I know people who have run their mouths and end up getting shot for it. And I don't like to sit around and insult people unless I have a genuine beef with them. So I'm not here to judge you or your life. I can just say that it's not something I would personally do. Well, if you feel like you have no emotional attachment to the guy, I think that's a good thing. I think your heart should be in one place.
Andrew, objectively, you could definitely beat the shit out of me. But one time I was hanging out with the UFC fighter, Donald Cowboy Cerrone, and he pulled up some old Andrew Tate kickboxing matches and was showing me them and did a pretty good job of making the point of this guy can't fight, which I am not in a position to judge, but I have had that experience where a former UFC champion has basically told me about what a bitch you are, which I don't agree with. I'm a fan of the Top G. I like everything that you're doing out here, but I think you and Donald Cerrone need to settle this in the square circle.
Well, that's the thing about fighting, right? The thing about fighting as a sport is that everybody who watches it goes, this guy can't fight, or everyone at home who's never even fought says this guy can't fight, or the other fighters say this guy can't fight, which is why as a fighter you constantly feel like you have something to prove. Even if you win 100 fights in a row, there's always going to be someone out there who says you can't fight. I'd like to think that my record stands for itself. I've had 88 fights. I've had a bunch of fights, a 4-time world champion. I fought a bunch of rules, including MMA, and I did my very best, and I won a bunch of titles and made some money and beat a bunch of people. And of course, there's always going to be someone who watches me and says I can fight. There's a bunch of videos that say I can, and there's the odd idiot who says I can't. But I'm very happy with who I am in my career and what I've achieved, and I'm very confident in my abilities. So it is what it is. And as for Cerrone, I've heard of him. Didn't McGregor finish him pretty quick?
Wait, Chad, is he a good fighter? Yes or no?
Sure, but either way, we need to settle that score at some point. I just want to throw that out there. But
I don't know if we do. I don't know if I need, because and this is something I want to make clear as well. I don't know if I need beef with people on the internet. I see a lot of this. I see a lot of people constantly beefing each other and all these arguments, etc. I don't need any of those things. I'm fighting against the judicial system. I'm fighting against the most powerful people in the world trying to silence me. I have enough battles in my life. I don't have time to be fucking tweet beefing with some dude. If he has a problem with me, he can come to my house. He knows where I am. Everyone knows where I am. Until then, I have no problems with anybody. So as for Cerrone, if he thinks I can't fight, then if he wants to tell me to my face and kick my ass, he's welcome to try. And I strongly believe he would regret that decision. And that's as far as I need to take it.
Right. So your brother, Tristan, was in my DMs, like really sincerely trying to convince me that I had made a very grave error, a massive mistake as a result of having let my wife shoot with another man. Myself personally, having been, a couple weeks removed from the actual incident happening, I don't really feel like I made a mistake. It feels like some pretty regular porn
WT
shit.
in the chat, man.
I was a little bit jealous at first. It's kind of a weird feeling knowing that your woman was in the arms of another man, even if it was only for a few hours. But it's interesting. You don't seem like you have as much of a real moral issue with the act itself.
Well, I can give you my opinion on why I wouldn't ever do it. And I think the reason I wouldn't ever do it is because I believe that a man and a woman have a connection between them, and I think that connection is solidified by sexual exclusivity from the female's part, and I believe there's an energy cord between. And I think that once that's broken with another man, I do believe there's a degree of the connection which is damaged. And I think that when the relationship is good, perhaps you will not feel it, but when the relationship is bad, or when arguments start to happen, or you start to get on each other's nerves, you might notice a slight difference in behavior, because I do also think that once the seal has been broken, I'll give you an example. The 4-minute mile was impossible to achieve, they believed, until one man ran the 4-minute mile, and then a bunch of people ran the 4-minute mile.
True.
So once the seal's been broken, for example, let's say your wife's sleeping with another man, the idea of sleeping with another man is not as intimidating as it once was. And perhaps the idea of sitting through an argument or sitting through a rough patch in a relationship and continue to try to work it out, as opposed to just jumping on a new man, it might be less appealing than it once was previously. So I believe, personally, if my woman had already slept with another man, she's more likely to just give up on the relationship and sleep with another man again in a rough patch. That's my personal view.
Facts, chat.
Say again?
Why would